Hello, class. My name is Serena, and this is my personal value narrative speech, Moving Beyond Fear's Boundaries, where I'm going to talk to you about my personal value for overcoming the fears and anxieties that accompany mental barriers, and a couple different areas of my life where I've been challenged to overcome them. So, to get right into things, some of the most commonly reported fears amongst people include physical phobias, such as fear of spiders, heights, germs, illness, and fear of death. And these are all things that are actually very common and that people are likely to come across or experience at some point in their life. But what if I told you that some of the other most commonly reported fears amongst people include mental anxieties and barriers? Now, fear is it's a natural response intended to keep us safe, but unfortunately, it can hold people back from leading the lives and experiences that they wish to live. To tell a quick story about myself, some people might say that without a doubt I am incredibly courageous and fearless because I've gone skydiving, but even though it was an incredibly exhilarating experience, what these people don't know is that there were other unseen fears that I was running away from in my life, like the fear of failure in other areas. Now, luckily, I didn't just adrenaline rush all of my problems out of the way forever, and today I get to speak to you from a place in my life where I have experienced overcoming my fear in a couple different developing areas of my life, such as my academics, my job, and my relationships. So the first real major fear that I realized I was running from was this paralyzing fear of failing in my academics. I was very afraid that I wouldn't be able to keep up with college level coursework, and even though I very, very, very badly wanted my degree, I was very afraid to get myself enrolled in school again. And the time just kept passing me by and passing me by. I realized that I'm not just going to wake up one day with more courage than I ever had in the past, and that if I do want to do this, I'll have to tackle it in small, attainable steps. Now, I was very afraid every step along the way, but I do also have a small little list down below of just exactly how I did that, how I handled each new obstacle and challenge as they came. First re-enrolling as a student, re-enrolling into classes, and now tackling each new assignment as they come, including this one. So now that I've talked about how I overcame fear in my academics, I'm going to talk about a couple more areas of my life where I overcame fear, such as my job and relationships. So another major issue that I found myself facing was my ability to stand up for myself at my job for better opportunities. Now, as a retail employee who was working the 2 a.m. truck unloading shifts, I was incredibly undervalued being asked to take a demotion against my manager's wishes, and being a very compliant and easygoing employee, I almost did it, and it's very unlike me to stand up for myself, set a boundary, quit a job suddenly. So this was something that took a lot of bravery when they asked that of me. Unfortunately, I immediately put in my termination notice, but and even though I was scared, it felt really great to make a decision that was putting myself first. And so that's going to directly lead into my last fear that I overcame. So last but not least, another area of my life where I had to overcome fear was in my relationships. So I had a major fear of breakups and the unintended consequences that everybody feels, the heartbreak, the blame, and even though it was something that I really wanted for myself, I was too afraid to break up and break somebody else's heart, make other people unhappy. But in small attainable steps, just like what I did for school, I did what I could to end all communication. And also, just like with work, it was really difficult for me to make a decision where I was standing up for myself. But at the end of the day, it felt really good to actually do that. And in doing this, it has brought me a lot closer to other people in my life who feel like they're in the same situation. I'm able to give them some advices and courage. And so, reflecting upon all of these areas in my life where I have faced my fears, never once was I feeling particularly brave, and so that's why I wanted to close out with this quote today, that everything you want is on the other side of fear, because courage might not always be the complete absence of fear, excuse me. But even the small steps that you take can lead to tremendous victories in overcoming your fears. So all in all, being able to overcome fear in just a few areas of my life has given me the tools to be able to overcome more problems and fears that come in my life from a more grounded perspective, and knowing that the fear that I'm feeling is totally normal and there is a way to work through this step by step. So, thank you guys very much for listening.